Hi guys! So today I thought we would do a little bit of a showdown between my two new purchases, and these are the iconic London Illuminator drops and the Cover FX Enhancer drops in Halo. So what I thought I'd do is, as they are kind of similar products, they're both liquid illuminators and they're both pretty hot in the world of YouTube and certainly on Instagram right now, so I thought we'd have a little play with them, have a little bit of a comparison and see which is best, which we like, if we like either of them. Who knows? Let's see. So I'm going to put the iconic London drops on this side of my face, and I'm going to put the Halo drops on this side of my face, we can see. But first of all, let's find out a little bit about them. So iconic London drops, they are available in 3 shades, and this is the original shade. It is 0.45 of fluid ounce, has a shelf life of 12 months. And then on the other side is the Cover FX drops in the colour Halo, which is one of their new collection. They brought out 3 new colours, Blossom, Halo and the Rose Gold, to add to their previous colours. So this is one of 3. And this is 0.5 of fluid ounce, so slightly more, but minimal. Again, so it's got a 12-month shelf life, and that's pretty much it as far as facts. So pretty like for like as far as the products. Both of them have, as you can see, glass bottles, silver tops, and they've both got these like little droppers for an applicator. So if we have a look inside, the iconic London drops have this applicator which has like a little sort of angle to it, and it's got a ball on the end. Sounds metal, but it's covered in the product, so I can't really see, but it sounds, when you touch it to the glass, it sounds metal. And then this is the Cover FX, which is just a very straight dropper, as you can see, like that, and that looks plastic to me. So yeah, now I have been struggling since I've got these. I've only had both these products a few weeks, and since I've got them, I've been struggling with using them correctly. The iconic London, when I first got them, I was so afraid of them that I was like wiping all the excess onto the bottle and then just touching these 3 dots and then blending in with my mini beauty blender. And I was finding that those 3 dots were staying very visible on my cheek, and while the product was sort of, you know, blending out a bit, those 3 dots were still very visible on my cheek. I couldn't get it to work or to blend out perfectly how I wanted it. So then what I started doing is putting it on the back of my hand and like dabbing my beauty blender in it and then doing that, which works better, but then I was still ending up with like a visible stripe. So I was kind of watching lots of videos on how other people were doing it, and so Holly Boone has been using these forever, and that's why I got them, because they look so amazing on her and in her videos. So what she does is she literally goes in. She pulls out the dropper, and she'll literally drop like big dollops, like 3 big dollops, whereas I was being like, oh, just about touching it. So I guess the fact that she's using more products actually working well for her, because it's not such a small little, quite quick to dry dot. She's like putting a splodge on, so that way obviously is working better. So that's how I've started to use these. And a similar really experience with the Cover FX drops. I was finding that they were moving my makeup underneath, like almost removing it as I went. So now what I do with these is I put a bit on the back of my hand and I just get my finger, because these are that holographic effect. What I find works is drop it on the back of my hand and then dip my finger in, so that allows me to sheer it out, which is how I like to wear these. So let's see how they apply. So I'm going to start with the iconic London drops, and my little mini beauty blender is damp. Like I'm literally doing it now by just soaking it in this little pot of water that I've got, and then wringing it out. So that is damp but not wet. So that's how I'm going to apply them. So they both say to shake well before use. That water that's flying everywhere is off my hand, not off of here. So yeah, we'll shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it, shake, 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 shake. So let's see. I'm not going to do what I did before and squeeze it all out because I am pooping my pants, because no one's going to see me today. I'm just in the house. If I look like a loony, no one cares. So there we go. And then I'm going to get my tiny beauty blender and just blend. Now I will say, you still can very much see those 3 dots in the light. I wonder if this is coming across on camera at all. It's not blending very well at all. You can still see those dots. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and just tap my finger like this, and I'm going to go over the top and see if that works better, which it instantly does. So for me, I'm going to tap a bit above my eyebrow. Yeah, so for me that's obviously going to be the way that works best for me, because now that's just looking really beautiful. And now I can go in with my beauty blender and just sort of blend it out a bit better. But yeah, that's like perfect now with doing that with my finger. So all I did, as you saw, was just touch it and then pat, and that's given me much less of a sort of visible stripe or a visible dot where it's gone on. And then just up there where I just patted that all with my forehead, my eyebrow, that's gone on nicely too. So this is the side of the iconic London drops, which now that I've patted that over the top, you can't see those dots from where I dropped them on. So that's kind of my recommendation, is to go with the patting, unless you are like Holly Bloom and you obviously have some kind of magical voodoo as to how you're doing that. I don't know, she's much cleverer than me. But that catches the light beautifully. It's almost this sort of champagne colour, and it is really glowy. It's not crazy because it's not glittery, it's much more shimmery than glittery. And I'm not really seeing that that's sort of exaggerating my texture, which is, you know, obviously a fear with the sort of really crazy highlighters, especially the liquid ones, that they're going to exaggerate texture. But it's very pretty, very shimmery, very sort of like wet looking, but not at all sparkly, not dusty, obviously, because it's a liquid. So that's why I kind of was drawn to these, because I don't want that sort of sparkly, dusty, and you also don't obviously get any fallout, so that's a bonus. So that is the iconic London drops. And now we're going to go in with Halo. So as I said, I'm going to apply these slightly differently, and I'm going to do 1 drop on the back of my hand, like so. And you can see they're not that runny. It's not really moving, it's sitting there nicely. So yeah, now I'm going to go in and just sort of like rub it on the back of my hand till it's a little bit more sheer, like this. And then I'm going to go in the same patting motion on my cheekbone. And I'm not going to use the beauty blender on this side, because like I said previously, when I've used this, it's moved my foundation underneath when I've done that. So I'm just going to pat with my finger and keep patting until I'm happy. So when it first goes on, it obviously starts to look a bit like this, is a bit mental. So I'm actually just going to use my foundation disgusting dirty beauty blender that I've just used in my foundation, because I know it's a bit drier. So yeah, that's all in now. And you can see it has that holographic iridescent sort of purpley colour to it. And I feel like you can definitely sheer that out a bit more. This is obviously, don't want to use the word natural, because I don't think in any planet. Either of these is going to be described as natural, but this is a far more sort of regular colour highlight, and you know, for every day going down the shops it may be too much for me, but certainly on the night out, certainly on, you know, day, certainly on the evening, it's very wearable. Whereas this side, because it has that purple tone to it, it's definitely more sort of out there, but it also kind of like, as you shear it out, I know I said I wasn't going to use this, but for the sake of experiment, I am going to. Because it has that purple, in no way is anyone going to think that this is, you know, natural. It is always going to be clearly a highlight, clearly a bit of a sort of statement highlight. I feel like also this one, if you wanted to go absolutely mental with your highlight, if you were to put a powder on top of this, it would look incredible. And I feel like the halo drops, if you were to use this mixed in with your primer or mixed in like one drop with your foundation, I feel like it would give you a stunning glow, and that sort of purple tone would be like lost in between. Because if you see the Becca First Light priming filter, it's sort of reminiscent, it's a much more toned version of this sort of shade, which is obviously very brightening as a purple, or a lilac sort of colour, is very brightening on the skin, and also it helps to hide redness. So I feel like that would be a really good way to use these. But now I'm doing that, that hasn't moved my foundation at all in that way. Both of them are sitting nicely and really catching light beautifully. And both of them, I'd say the Iconic London has more of a shimmer and the Halo is much more of a sort of light to it. I'm not sure how well you can see this on camera, but let me just swatch them next to each other so you can see. I feel like a scientist when I use things like this. So there we go, hopefully you can see those. I definitely wouldn't use either of these two in the centre of my forehead or like my chin. I think they both look really good on the Cupid's bow, and I have actually used, let's just use the tiniest bit. These as the Iconic drops. I'm just going to use the tiniest bit on my Cupid's bow, which is beautiful. Perfect. I also used the Halo drops down the bridge of my nose the other day, and that looks stunning. Again, I would have expected that to look mental, but just using that tiny little drop like you can see that I've put there and running it down just with my finger, that actually looks very just light. It doesn't, you're not sort of really getting that purple tint at all there. That just looks like light and actually very subtle. So yeah, I would sort of say that although under these lights it's really showing up very purple, you can sheer it out as much as you want to, and I do definitely think if you wanted to use it just to get a really beautiful like glow and light to it, by putting it on underneath your foundation or mixing it in with your foundation, that's what I feel that you would get with these. So the Iconic London drops, I believe, were something like £26, but then you had to pay for shipping, which is only something like $3.99. I'd be interested to know if in the States what your shipping costs are, because I'm at the moment, as far as I know, you can only get these from the Iconic London website, so obviously you're going to have to pay international shipping. So let me know if you've bought it, what that was like. And then the Cover FX drops are available in Sephora. So these were £34 for me from Space NK, but I didn't have to pay shipping. So once you work out shipping, there's probably a few quid in it, difference-wise, between the two. But yeah, love them both. Certainly will wear the Iconic drops on a more regular basis than the Halo, which is a bit more funky, but definitely have worn that out. Definitely amazing for photos, amazing for like Instagram. And I also think that the Halo drops in particular on the lips would look really, really stunning, just to give it like a real sort of glow and a pop of colour, maybe in the centre of like an ombre lip or something like that. So yeah, Let me know if you've got either of those products, if you've got any of the other shades of either of these products. I'd love to know how you got on, and also how you find best to apply them. If you've had any troubles like I had, I'd love to know that I'm not the only one. Thank you, and we'll see you really, really soon. Bye bye.